first thing I talk about is response. We seem to have a problem with this. If a truck or squad is called for an extrication, you're going to be an extrication rig. What we're asking you to do is show up and be professional. We've had problems lately with crews getting there not being dressed, things like that. If you're called for an extrication, be prepared for an extrication. You're the crews that are going to do the work. You're the ones that everybody's looking at. Be professional, have a plan, get there, and at least act like you know what you're doing. That's what we're asking. So it was always a big part of what I did back in the old days when we had Squad 1. In route, number one, we're dressed and ready to go. Number two, I coordinated my people. They knew what to do before we got there. There's nothing worse. After we lost Squad 1, I was on an engine, called for an extrication crew, and I know what needs to be done. The officer comes up with no gear on, the other two people come up, they all walk around the car, then they go back to their rig, start getting dressed, just waste a bunch of time. And you look like a bunch of fools. You get there, be dressed, be prepared, be ready to go. Officers, what I would do, I would coordinate my people before I even got there. Number one, you're only going to have 2 other members. Trucks and squads are 3-person crews, but you can give them assignments before you get there so that you're prepared and ready to go. On a truck, you have a generator. If you still have the old generator, it takes 2 people to handle that generator. So my guys are dressed. We get there. The first thing they do is they both take off the generator and get it ready to go. If you're the officer, you get off. You're the one that goes up to the incident scene. You talk to command. They don't need to. They can get stuff geared ready, prepared to go, so that when you're ready to act, they're ready to get you what you need. So you should go up, talk to the incident commander, find out what they need, then do a 360 of the vehicle and come up with your plan. In the meantime, your crew members are getting all the tools ready that they need. Number one's a generator. Always do that first. I learned it the hard way. In most cases with the old generator, it takes 2 people to lift it. I don't know about truck 4. We got the old Truck 17's got a new one. It's lighter. Truck 4, you don't. I would assign both people. One person is assigned to that generator. But you're going to need both people to get off, get it out, get it set. Then one person stays with that generator and starts it. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but we have trouble starting engines sometimes. And I can tell you from experience, one very serious extrication I was at, Eric Ellis, he's great. Very good at extrications. The first thing he did is he pulled it, and the string came right off in his hand. That's why we have 2 extrication rigs now. So get there, get it set up, and that person start it and get it ready to go so that we know we have a generator that's operating. That person should stay with that generator, make sure it warms up and it's ready to go. You got 2 high pressure hose lines that come off it, get them out, get them ready to go. The other person, get tools ready. 2 things that I suggest you have are our spreaders and our cutters. Get them out for sure. I'd hook them up, because 9 times out of 10 you're using at least one, probably both. So have them hooked up and ready to go, and then other tools you can get. Number one's that Sawzall, DeWalt Sawzall. Best tool we've gotten in the last 10 years. Battery operated, that battery works great. That's a very versatile tool. Get that out, set it next to your tool cache. You'll need a Halligan and possibly a sledgehammer, and then you can get rams out if you think you have time to get it out. But you already have the basics we need ready to go by the time the officer is ready to call for you. So once you have your plan, then you tell them what you want, they bring it to you. I would have one person stay by that generator. It's pretty much the shuttle person. You, and maybe you, operate the equipment. He stays by the generator, make sure he takes care of the generator. If you call for equipment, he brings it up to you. That seems to work out best. Any questions on that? What I'm saying is be prepared to act and be professional. I don't care if it's an extrication or not. If you're called for an extrication, be professional, be dressed, get there, get your tools off, get it ready to go. And if it's not an extrication, put it away. It's a lot better to put stuff away than it is to get caught off guard and then try to catch up and look silly. So that's what I'm asking you to do. As far as the officer, you are in charge of the extrication. Can I connect my phone? You're in charge of the extrication, nobody else is. I know you have an instant commander. It's not that person's job to tell you how to do it, it's his job to tell you that he needs something done. It's your job to determine how it's done. We do have a problem sometimes with people trying to micromanage it. That's your responsibility. That person should say, hey Jeremy, Lieutenant Vidra, I need you to extricate that person. It's your job to determine how. Now, if you want advice, that's fine, but it's your call. Another problem that we have, everybody wants to help. That's just how firefighters are. 2 extrications ago, we got 9 people all trying to push their way inside the door. Everybody has to do something. No, you don't. That's your crew's job. You may have to ask the commander to keep people away. You need help, you ask for it, but it's your scene. You control it. You do what needs to be done until the extrication is done. Now you can have people help. That's the biggest problem we have, is too many people trying to help out. Any questions so far? Okay. The next thing we need to do, this is not your responsibility, but it has to be done before you start cutting. Number one, upon arrival, if I was an extrication team now, the first thing I would do, no matter what, is cut the battery. The reason why I cut the battery is there's varying different opinions on charging the airbag system. It could be anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes, or 30 minutes before discharge. Nobody really knows. And those are a danger to us. So if you get there and you cut that cable right away, it still takes us a while to set up and get things ready to go. Hopefully it can discharge by the time we go in if it already hasn't deployed. So that's the first thing I would do, is I cut that battery.
Just a little comment. Say we're on scene, a lot of times we'll talk for case unit. Would you be okay with first responders cutting that battery?
Yep. Definitely, because you do all the time for firefighters.
Have it ready for that.
The earlier we cut the battery, the better off you're going to be.
The question on that is capacitors. The auto industry uses a whole variety of capacitors. How long is that capacitor going to hold a charge? The sooner that gets cut, we start to drain that capacitor down. But yes, there are some that can handle a charge for about 30 minutes and still blow that in your face. Also, there are 2 sensors typically on airbags, different weight sensors. One discharges, the other one can discharge later during the operation.
As a matter of fact, I got a real good video that I got yesterday that shows airbag deployment in different areas of the car, how much pressure it is. It's an excellent video for your crews to watch. If my computer's working later, I'll put it on YouTube, send you a link for it. If it's not working, I'll have to come up with it, but it'll be there. Okay, before you even start extricating, there has to be a charged hand line set and ready to go in somebody's hands. As the extrication officer, that's not your responsibility. As the first officer on scene, it would be yours. But don't start until it's charged. Make sure you're looking at seat safety. I would call that your responsibility. But that's his responsibility to go ahead and have a line charged, set, ready to go with somebody manning it. The reason is because we got all kinds of flammable fluids. Here we don't. They've been drained. We don't have to worry about it. Okay, so you come up with your plan. Now you can go back and tell your crew exactly what you want to do. As far as scene safety, that'll be your responsibility too. It should be the first responders, but I would think that you would do a better job because extrication is something you would do. Number one, we want to make sure that there's no fluids, there's no gas, there's nothing flammable laying around us. You just had a big accident like we did yesterday. We had a lot of gasoline. Something that you might want to consider, now that everybody's practiced it, if you do have gas down there, maybe you lay a little bit of foam on top. Everybody in this department knows how to do foam now. It's not a bad idea. Say, hey Cap, can you get some foam down? He'll set up, put some foam on there. I know you're going to be walking around and sliding stuff, but at least you're not going to catch on fire. It's not a bad idea to look at.